So you may be wondering, why do I have a perfectly functioning Dolch pack completely disassembled like this? And a funny thing happened on my way to getting a stable 10 megahertz reference. So with me, I have a Trimble Thunderbolt. This is supposed to give me my GPS disciplined 10 megahertz via that port in the middle. And as you can see from here, it requires serial. The Dolch Pack is the only computer that I have at the moment with a serial port, which is this guy right here. Disassembled, of course, though, but it's the only guy with a serial port that I have. All my other computers are USBs, or I can't even find my USB to serial converter. I had probably in storage. I have a lot of things in storage because we're moving eventually. In the meantime, I have this all set up. I also have a proper bench too, but like I said, we're moving. I just have a temporary bench here, just basically your plastic party table. But funny thing happened on the way to getting that 10 megahertz reference working, and I had installed a connection for USB. At first, I thought I shorted it because I usually keep the cable just flapping in the breeze right here, but I'm really careful. I always tend to take the cable out. This is the cable, by the way. So I had the cable somewhere. Let me see if I can find. Where did I put that? I put that song. Okay, here it is. So I had the cable. Like something like this sticking out. This used to be a modem port, but I don't need it. I put the card somewhere in another box, also in storage. But I had it sticking out. If you notice, this end is basically like, besides this curve, it's straight. It's curved like this because I used to store it like this, and then when I brought it out of storage. So it'll be basically like stored like that. And then I would just bring it out every time. Uh, I did have something attached there, but like I said, I'm very cautious. The thing that I worried about, this is the hilarious part, I had worried about like the contacts here. Those are supposed to keep the pins inside the plastic. And I had worried about that kind of, but it didn't really contact the case. I also worried about this too, but this was well isolated. The funny thing that happened was, if you look at this right here, this is what connected inside. It's bent like this. And the problem is, I never really put a stress relief. In fact, this was supposed to be temporary. So the funny thing that happened was that the same thing exists on this side too. You see these exposed pieces right there. That's to hold the connector in. It was basically coming in contact with the adjacent pin down below. There's two rows of pins. There's one for the USB and then one for, I think it's for the video, because the video had done all sorts of glitchy. It looked all sorts of glitchy. Like, I wouldn't know how to mention the pattern, but it looked very glitchy. I have to get the flash. Okay. So those are the pins right there. Right below that, I believe it's a south bridge or a north bridge. It's basically that little processor beneath the battery there. So you see those pins, I'll zoom in on it. So the four leftmost on the bottom is where I had the connector, and then the three that's on top is basically what we're shorting. So you had a short between the fourth pin, which is in the middle, and the third pin on top, which is also in the middle. And I think that's what was causing the glitch. So, lesson learned. Do not use these if you're using them temporarily like I was. It was only meant to be temporary. And I thought I had broke it. Turns out it's still working. I just plugged it in. Powers up all nice and does the RAM test and everything. But I still have to go in here later. I'll get to that, but right now there's also another problem that I wanted to talk about. This will be probably the second part of this vid. And it's that guy. This guy right here is a major problem I want to talk about. Specifically that circuit board right there. And here's a little preview of what I mean. That orange part, by the way, was never originally on there. I put that there. That is a sticky note. You notice how the circuit board is slanting? Let me see if I can zoom in a little better. You notice how the circuit board is just slanting? You can even see it from here. It's just like slanting downwards like that. In the next, I think I'm going to break this into two parts. In the next part, I'll tell you why that's a problem. But in the meantime, I decided I still have to fix the CD too. The CD is missing its circuit board. But I still have to go back inside, and I'm glad what happened, even though it was silly, because behind that connector are a bunch of caps, and I will show you in a moment as soon as I get the connector out of the way. Okay, so we're back, and this is the part I wanted to show. I'll go ahead and flip this over. So this is a little PSA right here. We can just zoom in for a bit. There we go. So the caps are starting to fail. As you can see, it's bulged. The very first one right there is bulging out, and I have to replace that. These seem fine as well. Now, when I had got this unit 2 years ago, this just shows how much time has passed, my goodness. Anyway, I got this unit 2 years ago, and I was using it, and I have pictures to show what I was using it for. I have to upload those though. But essentially, these were all flat. Now this guy, I think this happened under my watch, and it was still working. Like I said, what had happened before was that this was shorted. So that's what had caused the glitch on the screen, and I had kind of freaked out thinking that I had broke the entire unit. But everything, the self-test passed with flying colors. Nothing was damaged, thankfully. But I had noticed while trying to see that these were bulged. So I have to go ahead and order these, and I'll come back to that. In the meantime, for the next part, we're going to talk about that guy. This CD and floppy deck thing that also houses the hard drive. Be right back.